Hey Flosstube, I'm back for another stitch with me. It's Leslie with Fat Cat Flossing, and today I am working on the 12 Days of a Texas Christmas by Redbird Designs. Hope you guys can see that. This is the one I picked up, or actually my friend Charlotte bought for me when I was in San Antonio last month. And this is going to be a gift for Char's mom from her, so I'm just doing it for her to give to her mom. I figured everybody was sick and tired of seeing Blackberry House, which is what I've done for the last 2 or 3 times that I've done this, so something different this morning. So anyway, I hope you guys have been having a great stitchy weekend and gotten lots of stitching in. I have not gotten much stitching in. Because let's see, we went out to dinner Friday night with Steve's parents. We had sushi, and I'm a sushi wimp, you guys. I eat things like, you know, California rolls and shrimp tempura rolls. I don't do the raw stuff, but I do love the stuff that I get. And we go to a good place in Fort Smith called Saki. So that was a lot of fun. And JJ, which is Steve's mother, or stepmom, but we call her his mom because I don't think he could love her anymore if she had birthed him. And she and his dad have been married for, I don't know, 25, 26, 27 years, something like that. So anyway, a long time. And anyway, she and I split this chocolate cake, and I swear to God, the thing was 6 inches tall. It was so many layers of chocolate cake, and it was delicious. Oh my God, it was so good. And there was, you know, fresh whipped cream with it. Oh Lord. Yeah, it was good. So anyway, that was Friday. So I didn't get much done Friday. And then yesterday was Steve's officially on vacation. Yay! And we went and did a couple of things that he wanted to do yesterday, and then did some chores around the house, took the recycling in, you know, just all that minutia that's got to get accomplished whether you want to do it or not. And then I stitched a little bit last night, not a whole lot, but a little bit. Oh, I did finish Summer Smalls, the Lizzie Kate Summer Smalls pattern, the little summer pillow. I did finish it, so maybe I'll have an FFO of it this week. Oh, we did go thrifting for a little while yesterday. We went to kind of an antique-y, flea market-y kind of place in Alma. And I got a really cool metal tray. Now, I think it's aluminum, so I don't think magnets are going to probably stick to it. But I think I can attach a piece of sheet metal to it and then do the magnets to have something to change out finishes on. And it's a really pretty one. It's got like some engraving around the edges of it and some kind of fluted handles. So I haven't ever finished anything on something like that, so stay tuned. We'll see. But I think it looked pretty cool, so we'll see. Anyway, and then the same place had a poop ton of little cuts of fabric, and they all range from, like, you know, 1/4 yard to maybe 1 1/4 yard, 1.5 yards. There were a couple of bigger cuts, but they were not attractive fabrics. But anyway, I got 5 or 6 of those and walked out for $11.72 total. So I was pretty happy with that. And anyway, but back to I got digressed onto that because I'm hoping maybe one of those materials will work for the Summer Smalls to finish a pillow on it. And if not, you know, I'll check my stash out, and I might do that later this afternoon because I have to go into Fort Smith tomorrow. I have my regular doctor's appointment on Thursday, so I have to go have some labs drawn tomorrow before my doctor's appointment. So I'll be in Fort Smith anyway, which means I will be near Joann's, and I have a $10 coupon to use at Joann's. It's just been burning a hole in my pocket. So if I don't have the right material to finish the summer smalls. And I'm thinking maybe, since it's got a watermelon on it, I'm thinking if I can find a watermelon kind of fabric, watermelon-y, is that a word? Kind of fabric, then maybe that's what it needs. But I don't know that that's really, summer stuff is maybe not quite out yet. But I think spring has sprung in Arkansas, for sure. Although we are supposed to freeze again tomorrow night, Tuesday night, it's supposed to get down to like 28 or 29 again. But the last couple days have been in the 60s to 70s, and the highest day is supposed to be 58 or 60, something like that. But it's warming up, the trees are budding out. Spring's here. I love spring. It's my favorite season. And unfortunately, it doesn't last as long as I would like it to, but it is spring. And boy, one of the things here that spring comes with is lots and lots of thunderstorms. And boy, we had some doozies last night, man. We even got a little bit of hail. The hail here was only pea size, I guess. But in Alma, which is about 10 miles away, I guess, give or take, they got stuff that was around an inch in size. And I'm glad we didn't get that because Steve's car was sitting outside. And I have no idea how much rain total that we got because the rain gauge flew over. So who knows on that one. But we did get quite a little bit of rain, which means my dogs are just muddy little mops again. And I'm sure y'all have seen that I'm sitting here on the couch, and if you can see the ottoman couch. The couch is covered in quilts. The ottoman is covered in towels because, yeah, little mud mops. But anyway, so that's to try to protect my furniture a little bit. Not real attractive, but, it is what it is. Anyway, so that's about all my news. I'm hoping I get a little bit of stitching done this coming week. I don't think it'll be a whole lot because, like I said, Steve's on vacation, and when Steve's on vacation, Steve wants attention from Leslie. So he has plans. Tomorrow I got to go to get blood drawn, and then Tuesday there is some kind of arcade thing up in Fayetteville, which is right a little over an hour from us. And there is a brewery there that does hard cider. And he's just been jonesing to go to both. So that's the plan for Tuesday, is we're going up to Fayetteville and going to the arcade, and then going to the, is it a cidery? Is that what you call it? Wherever they make the cider. And then we'll probably eat somewhere up there. Red Robin is a chain restaurant, and it's not any big deal as far as, it's no place fancy or anything. But we like Red Robin, and there is not one here in Fort Smith. So chances are that's where we'll end up for lunch on Tuesday. And then I think Wednesday he plans to go play golf with my mother-in-law because she likes to play. So I will get a little me time hopefully on Wednesday and maybe get another project bag made because I don't get that much concentrated me time when he's around. And then hopefully from stitching on Wednesday. And I don't remember, Thursday is go to the doctor day. Steve and I both have doctor's appointments, and he's got to go to the eye doctor. And then Friday, he wants me to go play golf with him because it's supposed to be warmer, because I don't go out if it's under 60. I just don't. I don't like being cold. But anyway, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of stitching slash sewing slash crafting time for me this coming week, but that's okay. I'll enjoy some time with my hubby. And I printed off a couple of tags to have something to talk about. And I'm sorry I didn't write down where I got them, so if I'm borrowing your tag, thank you for making it accessible. The first one is called the Stash Enhancement Tag. And it says, what is your favorite pattern in your stash that you haven't started yet? What has kept you from starting it yet? Oh boy, I didn't review my stash before I did this. But I think it might be, I think it's called Tea Time or Time for Tea. It's I think it might be a Victorian sampler pattern. I don't really remember for sure. But it's on my list of plans of things I'd like to start this year. And I haven't started it just because it's a big project, and I've got Oh Beautiful from Shepherd's Bush going, and I've got Blackberry House going, and I just didn't particularly want to start another really big pattern. So when I say really big, I don't do real huge things as a rule, but it's not a small, we'll put it that way. It's not a quickie, but I do plan to start it this year. And the next question is, what is your favorite non-pattern item in your stash? That's a hard one. Up until a month or so ago, I would have said it was my silks. I don't have a huge number of silks, but I have some. And I love to stitch with silk. And I don't stitch with silk a whole lot because it's just really expensive, but I do love it. But I have recently started getting the Victorian Motto sampler threads from Nancy Turner. And if y'all aren't getting those, you're missing out, because they are a great deal economically, and they are beautiful colors. And they're DMC based threads, so they're good quality threads. And my scissors have disappeared. That's not good. Hang tight. But anyway, I think my Victorian Motto threads might be my favorite thing. Well, crappy, hold on. Wonder where those went. Good thing I know where some more are. And I hope that's not moving the camera too much. I'm sorry if I'm making y'all seasick. My little box of goodies that sits here on the table. Oh, I put them in the box. Who knew? Anyway, so I think it might be the Victorian Motto sampler threads. Might be my new favorite thing in my stash. What do you have the most of in your stash? Patterns, floss, fabric, or others? Beads, etc. Probably floss, I guess. I think I'm fairly evenly balanced on that. I mean, I've got a lot of everything. So anyway, I think my stash is pretty well evenly distributed between, you know, patterns and threads and linens. I don't have anywhere near as big a linen stash as a lot of folks do, so that's probably, if I have a weak spot, is that what we'd call it, is a weak spot? If I have something that I have a lot less of, that's probably it. But I have plenty of stash, but I always want more. Isn't that how it works? Besides your L&S and the big box craft shops, where's your favorite place to buy stitching supplies? I'm kind of an equal opportunity purchaser. I buy crap from everybody. I buy some stuff off eBay if it's like something that's maybe out of print that I have a hard time finding somewhere, or if I think it's a really good deal. But that's kind of a hit and miss kind of thing. And the same thing kind of with Stash Unload. And I'm not a huge, I've got some digital patterns, you know, that I've gotten from Etsy or wherever and downloaded and printed off, but I'm not a huge lover of the digital pattern. And I might be, I just haven't, I've never done a pattern like from my iPad. I always print them and do them. But my favorite place, I really like the idea of getting stuff from my L&S because I want them to stay in business. And, you know, so many small businesses of all kinds, and especially specialty needle workshops didn't survive the economic downturn a few years ago. And I'm very lucky that now my LNS is 2.5 hours away, so it's not like it's next door. But the last time I was there, Ann was telling me, and that's the Shepherd's Needle in Little Rock, but Ann was telling me how she's going to be looking for a new location this summer when her lease expires, because she's doing so well that she wants to expand. So that's awesome. That's a blessing for her, and I'm really glad to hear it. So when I have to order stuff, most typically I email Ann and order from her. And she's been able to get me, I think, pretty much everything I've ever asked her to get. And I also occasionally order from the Silver Needle in Tulsa and from Creative Stitches and Gifts in Dallas. And if there was a specific thing that I was searching for that was only available at Timbuktu Needle Workshop in Timbuktu, then I'd order it from there. But on the whole, I try to order from local places when I can. And sorry, y'all, my dryer is singing in the background. I have a load of clothes in the dryer. But anyway, I try to order from local places if I can. When I can't, I will order from 123 Stitch, and then Cindy Sorley's group on Facebook. I think it's Cross Stitch Buy and Sell or something like that, because she's also a small business. So I order from places like that before I go to the big online retailers. But if that's where I have to get something, that's where I'll go. Anyway. Name one item that you have purchased that was not meant for cross stitch that you have repurposed to your craft. Well, I have a basket that holds all of my project envelopes. I don't know that I have a whole lot of stuff like that. Now, I will tell you, all of my cross stitch stuff is stored in those pretty paper mache boxes that you get from Michael's or Joann's or Hobby Lobby or wherever. So I don't think they were intended for that, but that's what I use for storage boxes, because I just like the pretty boxes. I've collected pretty boxes for long before I started storing my cross stitch in them. And so I like the fact that they're both pretty and they're functional for storage. I can't think of anything else. Name one item in your stash that you were unable to purchase after seeing someone else with that item. I'm sure there would be several patterns. The only one I can think of right now is a really, really pretty peacock pattern that I got, I don't know, middle of last year. And it was a digital download from somebody that I don't remember the name of right now. But I saw it on either Stitch Mania or Cross Stitch Addicts on Facebook, and just thought I had to have that, so that was something I got. And then I've seen a lot of other patterns that I have purchased because I thought, oh, that's pretty, I need that. So I'm sure that there are a number of patterns that I have purchased because I have seen other folks stitching them. And y'all will notice I'm doing a little bit less. I normally use the sewing method. When I stitch in hand, and I normally use the sewing method. And I think it's called the English method, when you cross each stitch as you go. And that's how I learned, so that's what I do. But you may have noticed that on this particular project, I'm doing a little bit more stab and pull through rather because of that right there. Because this linen is relatively stiff, and I'm finding it harder to do the sewing method on it. I do where I can, but where there's a number of stitches, it's a little stiff. And it's also 2 threads, which is not my favorite. It's 2 threads over, I think, a 28 count. So you definitely need the 2 threads for the coverage, but again, 2 is not my favorite. If someone asked you what was the one must-have pattern that they had to have in their stash, which pattern would you recommend? Well, I have 2 kind of unicorn patterns that I really want. And one of them is very difficult to get because it's out of print, and that's Lady Liberty by Mirabilia. I really want that pattern. I really want to do that. And I haven't done a Mira in years and years and years, but I did a couple way back when and gave them away because I'm a ding-dong. But anyway, Lady Liberty would be one. And my other unicorn pattern is the Flock by Redbird Designs. And my problem with that one is I'm just too effing cheap. It comes in, I think, 12 parts. And each part is $8 and something a piece. And that works out to almost $100 in pattern. And I just have not been able to bring myself to do that. I'm not a big fan of designers serializing patterns like that. I really think that in some ways it gouges their audience or their consumers. I would have no problem paying $25 or $30 probably for that pattern, but I think $100 is excessive. And I have done many larger patterns that weren't any bigger than that, you know, were not a total of $100 for the entire design. So I really, really want to do it. I really, really, really want it in my stash. But I am probably really, really, really not going to pay that kind of money for it. Because, I mean, I was bad. I fell off the stitch from Stash Wagon print so hard I bounced, and ordered another number of things from my LNS from the market releases. And the average cost of those was $10 each. And I got about 10. I just have a hard time turning loose of that much money for one pattern. It's beautiful. I'd really like to do it, but unless I go rob a bank or some rich relative I don't know about croaks, I'm probably not going to have it. If someone asked you what one designer they had to check out to enhance their stash, who would it be? I have pretty eclectic taste when it comes to designers. You know, I am a huge Shepherd's Bush fan. I've done a lot of Shepherd's Bush patterns. I have a whole lot in my stash. So that would probably be my number one to tell people to check out. But I also would really like to build my stash of Blackberry Designs and Plum Street Samplers. And, oh shoot, brain spell. Who's the other one? Dag nabbit. Beth Twist. I can't remember her design name. But anyway, I would like to add more of those to my stash. I'm ready to be done with this little flower. Yellow is not my favorite color. I don't mind yellow in little pops, but this is not my color palette. The yellows and oranges and browns, that's not me. Stuck it. I am a pinks and pastels, and I like jewel tone colors too, but probably pinks and lavenders and, you know, lighter colors are more my particular cup of tea. Excuse me. But Charlotte wanted this for her mom, so that's what I'm doing. But not my particular favorite color palette. I like the design, and I might redo it for me in a, you know, more of a rosy rose color rather than the yellows and browns. But, you know, yellow rose of Texas is a big deal, so yellow it is for Anna, who is Charlotte's mom. Okay, back again. And it was handy that the camera cut off right there because it was time for me to switch tags and switch threads anyway. So now we're on the Adelicat Stitches Adele's For Reals Though tag. So thanks, Adele. I'm borrowing your tag. And the first one is, for reals though, what level of stitcher do you consider yourself to be? I guess intermediate. I'm pretty comfortable with cross stitch. Now, specialty stitches, you know, and I can do like French knots and stuff, and I can do a pin stitch to start in the middle of nowhere. But specialty stitches, I always have to look at the diagram, and I usually have to look at the diagram for every stitch I'm doing. I can do them, but I have to follow the diagrams. I don't remember them from, you know, one time to the next usually. So I would say intermediate. Now, I will tell you, I have never done a full coverage piece. I've never done a HAID. I probably never will do a HAID. Number one, I can't imagine that I would stick with it. I just don't have that kind of patience for a design that large. And number two, I'm just intimidated as all get out by the idea of, you know, parking and something that large, and I don't know. Maybe someday, never say never, but yeah, never done one of those. So I consider myself to be an intermediate stitcher. Not an expert by any level of the imagination. For reals though, how many whips and UFOs, or I'm sorry, yeah, UFOs do you honestly have? This includes things you gave up on and threw out. Well, hold on. If I'd been smart, I'd have done this ahead of time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 10 whips. I don't have anything that I've given up on and thrown out. I have a couple that I started, you know, prior to 2002 when I kind of quit stitching for a while and have yet to get back to. But I also had stuff, when I started stitching again at the end of 2016, beginning of 2017, whenever it was, before I bought anything new, I pulled out stuff that I had started way back in the 90s. Like, I don't know, 93, 94, somewhere around there. And I finished three, I think, that I had started way back when. And while I might have had 2 or 3, maybe 4 things going at a time, that consisted of stuff that I had started and then abandoned for whatever reason. I never threw anything out, but I went back and finished that stuff. So of the 10 that I have, I think 2 are things that I had from, you know, prior to 2002 that I have yet to get back to. But I will get back to them. I still like both of the patterns. I will get them done. So I don't have any UFOs that I threw out. I currently have 10 whips, and I have no ideological issue with having 100 whips if that's what works for you, or with being a monogamous stitcher if that's what works for you. There are things that I get into and stitch monogamously for a while, and then I also enjoy switching around. So I am a big believer in the squee-wee. Stitch what you want, when you want. If something in particular is calling your name, then listen to it. Don't stitch something that you're not enjoying stitching. You know, stitching should be a hobby, not a job. And because I mean, I'll say I'm going to stitch on that like it's my job, but what I mean is it's important to me to focus on that and get it done, not like, oh, I got to do that. So I'm a big sweet wee girl. I currently have 10 whips. I am tentatively planning on participating, at least to some degree, in Mania and having a number of other new starts. And again, ideologically, it doesn't bother me. You do you. You do what works for you. If you want to do one, do one. If you want to do 1,000, do 1,000. Who cares? Your hobby, your time, your money to invest in the projects. You do you. For real though, are you enabled easily? Oh boy, am I ever. I am really bad about seeing it and going, oh, that's beautiful, I've got to have it. Yeah, and I did a lot of that last year when I got back into stitching. Because, you know, over the 15 years that I did not stitch, trends and tastes, designers changed tremendously. And so it was like having my eyes open to this whole new level of stuff that I wanted to do. So, yeah, yeah, way too much. Very easily enabled. And overall, up until I kind of fell off the stash wagon because of market, I had been good so far for 2018. And then after this, I also plan to go back to being better. I just got caught up in the market fever. For reals, though, do you suffer from SADD, Stitcher's Attention Deficit Disorder? I don't know. I don't think so. If I decide I'm going to work on it, then I work on it till I don't want to work on it anymore. Now, there are definitely some patterns that I enjoy working on more than others. But, no, I don't think so. Again, I'm a sweet wee girl. I love your acronym, M. It's a fun one. Number 5, have you ever finished a full coverage project that is a hay, Tilton Crafts, etc.? If your answer was no, how far have you gotten? I actually think I did do, I'm going to retract my answer on I've never done a full coverage. And modify that to say, I don't believe I have ever done a full coverage cross-stitch piece, at least not one of any significant size. I have, however, done several full-size needlepoint designs that I bought as kits way back, I mean, from the time I was a teenager. Because the first needlecraft I learned was needlepoint. I prefer cross-stitch. I'm not real sure why. And I actually still have some needlepoint in my stash. A couple of really nice pieces, not huge ones, but really nice ones. That I can't make up my mind whether I'm going to try to purchase the threads or yarns to do them, or I'm going to gift them away or do a giveaway with them, or what. Would any of y'all like needlepoint as a giveaway? I think I've got a needlepoint purse and maybe a scissor case and maybe something else, although I'm going to be honest and say I've slept since I've looked at that stuff, so I don't really remember anymore. But I don't think cross-stitch is a cheap hobby. Now, if you look at the hours that you put into it and amortize the cost of the supplies over that time, it's probably not a real expensive hobby. But I don't necessarily think it's cheap either. I mean, especially if you're doing anything with any type of fancy floss or specialty thread. I think it can be quite pricey. I don't think the cost of white 8, gosh, dog it, I've got a little bubble in my thread here that won't lay right. Anyway, I don't think it's real cheap. I think you can do it economically if you choose to. I'm not real good at economically. I have to untwist my thread here. But anyway, I think needlepoint is an even more expensive needlecraft to do, because I think the yarns and threads for it are more expensive. And I haven't done any needlepoint in years and years and years. I need to get it out and try it again, see if it's something I want to do. But, you know, I did do some full coverage needlepoint stuff. I've never done any full coverage cross stitch of any significant size, like maybe bigger than 2 by 3 inches or something, if that. For reals though, do you enjoy confetti? That's another kind of one of those gotta qualify it answers. I enjoy colorful pieces. Like, I don't see myself doing like one of the kind of silhouette pieces that's just solid black, you know, without much color to it, because I enjoy color a lot. I am not a huge fan of having confetti out the wazoo. Gosh, for some reason this particular thread just wants to twist like crazy. Anyway, I have done some confetti and stuff. Not my favorite. I can do it if I need to, but not my favorite. But I do enjoy color, and sometimes, you know, you got to choose between, are you going to have a pretty colorful piece, or are you going to have a piece with less confetti? And if it's something that I want to stitch, then the confetti is okay, although doing those tiny bits of color, again, not my favorite. Number 7. For reals though, how many finishes do you have this year so far, and how does this compare to the number of whips and UFOs from question 2? I think that I have 3 finishes this year, maybe 4. They're all, with the exception of the Lizzie Kate Things Unseen, they are all pretty small. So I would say that I have 3 times as many whips and UFOs as I have finishes, at least. But again, I'm planning on expanding that number of whips come Mania time. For real though, are you bothered by your answer in the last question? Would you rather have a smaller or larger number? I'm not bothered. Again, I'm all about the squee-wee. And if I want to start something, I'll start something. And if I don't, I won't. And I don't care if I have more or less. I have made a deal with myself that I am not going to start more things than what I have project bags to put them in now. I've really gotten into making the project bags. I enjoy making them. I enjoy pretty materials, pretty fabrics. And so far. Okay, so yeah, I'm not bothered by the number that I have. I'm not bothered by the fact that I intend to have more. I'll get however many finishes I get. I do enjoy having finishes periodically. So I'm doing, you know, a number of, actually probably mostly smaller projects versus larger projects, because I do enjoy that feeling of accomplishment. But yeah, hey, again, this is my hobby. I do it because I enjoy doing it. I am not driven to do it to anybody else's standards but my own. And it doesn't bother me how many things I have or start or finish or whatever. I'm, you know, doing it because I like doing it. And I'm doing it to my rules, not somebody else's. I've never been huge on rules. For real though, do you have any perhaps embarrassing, dirty little stitchy secrets? I don't think so. I in most things in my life, not stitching only, tend to be a what you see is what you get kind of person. My husband would say that I have a bad attitude, because I am a big believer in the do unto others rule, but I'm not real bothered by what other people's opinions are. And along with that, I don't think I have any dirty little secrets, especially about cross stitch. I wish that I had not stopped stitching for 15 years, because I look back and wow, I could have accomplished a lot. But you know, it is what it is. Life's what it is. It gets in the way. You do the best you can do, you know. Live a happy life and don't be concerned about other people's opinions of what you do and don't do. So I don't think I have any dirty little secrets, other than I might not want to explain the total of what I've spent over the last year to my husband. Whoops. For reals though, I dare you to show me your messiest back. Okay. There's the back of my piece. And that's probably pretty typical for me. I'm not real concerned with what the back looks like, as long as the piece will lay decently enough for finishing. I don't want huge globs of thread that are going to make it, you know, not lay right, and I don't want the tension on my thread to be so tight or so loose that, again, it doesn't look right. But I've said before, I'm stitching for me, not for the judge at the county fair. Although I wish I could stitch to that level without it making me crazy. But the reality for me is I want to enjoy doing it. I don't want to be caught up in how my threads are laying or whether there's a cat hair in it, because, oh, good Lord, if I was worried about whether there was a cat hair in it, yeah, I'd never sleep. But anyway, I'm doing it because I enjoy it. So my backs aren't perfect, but they're not horrible. They don't interfere with finishing. I don't carry threads huge distances as a rule, and part of that is because I'm just kind of cheap about it and I don't want to waste that much thread. And part of it is I just don't do that. I don't have any very long carries on this one. Maybe half an inch or so. That's pretty typical. My backs are not something that I am particularly enthused about showing off to people. I don't believe they're show-off or worthy particularly. That's either. There's one of those cat hairs. But, you know, again, they don't bother me. It's a hobby. I do it because, there's that hair again. I do it because I enjoy it, and I'm not losing sleep over the way my backs look. Oh my. I'm ready to be done with yellow. There are some other colors in this. There's some green. I don't remember what all else. Again, not my particularly color palette of choice, but yeah, it is what it is. I'll get it done and send it to Char. It's for her mom, and I love them both, so that's okay. But kind of like I got really tired of Henry O'Hare's blue trousers. Yeah. And I'm nowhere near as far into this yellow as I was into that blue. And I don't know if you can tell here where there's less stitching, I'm able to go back to doing my sewing method, which goes a lot faster. Thank goodness. And I'm sure that if I went back, I do believe when I used years ago to stitch in a frame, and I've got some really nice frames, that my stitching probably looked better overall, because with the material held absolutely taut, it is easier to get the threads to lay more precisely. And I think when you're doing the stabbing method, you know, up and down, that your needle probably twists less overall. But I like stitching in hand. I tried it by accident and never went back. And part of that may be because I just don't like the unwieldiness of the frame, and part of it is probably because, you know, this goes a lot faster and I like getting to the end. Because then I can start something new, right? Sun's come out. Yay. What else? That was the end of my tags. So I'm probably going to finish out this thread and call it quits on the video, because I'm guessing I'll be at 30 minutes plus-ish. And, you know, I've grumped before that my video upload speeds are not exactly blazing fast. Oh, y'all, my husband is so excited. We were in town yesterday and he bought an Ethernet cable to connect our router directly into his PlayStation 4. And now, so, you know, whatever he's doing via the PlayStation is much faster. He's so excited about that. He was like a kid last night playing with all his apps on his PlayStation. Dang it, what'd I do here? Oh, speaking of PlayStation, I have to make a correction. My video on Friday, I talked about we were watching Santa Clarita Diet. And I said I thought it was on HBO. It is not. It is on Netflix. Steve corrected me on that. So, it's on Netflix. It's awesomely funny. The actor I couldn't remember the name of is Timothy Oliphant. And that guy, he's hilarious. He's a really good actor. And I'd only seen him in serious stuff before. He was kind of a kick-ass guy, but he is so good in this one. So funny. Just so funny. Well, my rose has more petals than it did when I started. That's forward progress. But I think for now I'm going to call it quits, because I know my camera's going to cut off again. And 30-ish minutes is a good upload time for me, or video length for me. So it's not ridiculously wieldy to upload. So I'm going to call it quits at that point, since I'm tying off this thread anyway. But thanks you guys for coming and hanging out with me to stitch with me. And there's where we are on the 12 days of a Texas Christmas. Made a little bit of progress. And I hope you guys come back soon. I'll be doing my regular Flosstube video on Thursday or Friday, whichever day works. I'm going to guess probably Friday, because Thursday is go to the doctor's day. But I will talk to you guys then. In the meantime, thanks for chatting with me and hanging out. I will talk to y'all soon. God bless y'all. Bye-bye.